everybody. Welcome to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid with Dalton Johnson. I'm Kerith Burke. The Warriors are simply a force at home. Their 9th consecutive home win, getting them their 3rd win overall. And Dalton, I'm looking at that 41-point fourth quarter for the Warriors. How did they do it?
Well, Jordan Poole had 19 of those points. I mean, through the first 3 quarters, he had 14 points on, I believe, 10 shots. He had 19 points on 9 shots, 6 of 9 from the field. But what I liked most is the fact that he was 5 for 5 from the free throw line. He was using his pace to his advantage. That speed is such an asset to him. At times, it can be tricky with him. It's almost like he can be too fast for his own good. But tonight, and he's been doing this recently, is the fact that he's attacking, and then that opened up that 3-point shot right there as we saw for him. So he was using his array of skills to his advantage so well tonight, but it was that fourth quarter that was an absolute Poole party. He took over to tonight here at Chase Center.
Yeah, Draymond Green said that Poole's pressure on the rim is really important, that when he goes downhill, he's hard to stop. He also gets to the line. So I saw what you did too, that assortment of shots. We know he can be a killer from 3. His jumpers are good. His layups are good. He gives it all to his team in this way. He also said something interesting when he was talking to our post-game crew about how he decides to dial up his aggressiveness. Said he reads who's on the floor with him. And if it's a good defensive unit, then he knows that he can freestyle a little bit more. Or sometimes he'll look who's out there, he'll look at the scoreboard and say, okay, we need a burst of scoring. Let me try. Let me put that on me. Other times he reads the game and says, I need to be a facilitator in this moment, like the time in the Rockets game where he's, leading the team with 8 assists. What kind of maturity do you see in Jordan Poole to read these moments and to give the team what it needs?
Well, the last 3 games especially. I mean, we think about, 2 games ago when he had 8 assists, he was a plus 13. Mm-hmm. Then he goes 16 points with no turnovers. Only 1 turnover tonight too. So it's the decision making, everything. And there was a comfortability tonight where the group of Steph, Clay, Jordan, Draymond, and Looney played a little over 6 minutes. That's a bunch of veterans, guys who were together. They were a plus 10 together. Mm-hmm. And their true shooting percentage was 83.3%. They did not miss a single 2-point shot together. They shot 40% from 3-point range together. So again, you talk about that kind of picking and choosing, defense, offense, who's on the floor with me. That is a comfortability group, and he took advantage of that. So, again, I thought it was a great game from Jordan Poole, but a great 3-game stretch right now from JP overall.
All right. Steph Curry went to the podium a moment ago. Let's hear what he had to say about this game.
Steph, Draymond was talking about the playoff race and said he doesn't really think about teams you could catch or teams behind you. Feel like you just got to win the games you're supposed to win. As good as Philly is, does it always feel like you're supposed to win when you're at home? I mean, there's urgency in every game, but when you're at home, does it feel like to keep pace you need to win every home game?
I mean, it's just a matter of what you want to focus on, whether it's the standings race or the momentum that you need to build down the stretch of the season to find some type of confidence in how you perform in the playoffs and how everybody attacks their role and all that. I'm sure everybody has a little different vantage point, but it all leads to having a sense of urgency on winning the next game because of just the time of year we're in and what's at stake in the big short term and long term in terms of trying to reach a goal. So it all matters.
If I guess a quick follow, as part of that answer, Draymond was saying the priority is the top 6. It's just stay out of that play-in.
For sure.
How much do you feel that, I guess?
I mean, we knew how big that was in Dallas to get, a tiebreaker against them, and for us to feel like if we take care of business here at home, that will help us. We don't know what you can't control other than your win. So you definitely want to stay out of play-in tournament because you never know how that can go. A single game here or there. And it gives you an extra week to prepare for whatever first-round series you might have. So, I mean, if we can control that, we would like to, do that.
It's also following up on Ron's questions. Draymond was talking about, he's a guy who really maybe doesn't love March basketball, but really gets up for that April, the playoff basketball. Jordan was in this post-game interview talking about it's playoff JP and stuff. Do you feel guys kind of making that shift, this team that historically has always really gotten up for playoffs, that it's kind of molding into that now?
I mean, yeah, but last year we were terrible in the last 12, 15 games. But the mindset's always there. You're trying to put together a solid run leading into the playoffs. Nobody wants to limp into the playoffs and then have to turn it on. I mean, we somewhat did that last year, but you'd rather not have that kind of uncertainty going in. No matter how it plays out, you want to be firing on all cylinders. And for us to bounce back and put together a solid string of games like we did the last two on the road tonight and hopefully, over this homestand, you just want to feel good going into whatever the playoff picture looks like.
What stood out to you about the way that Jordan played in the fourth quarter? And do you feel like, talking about flipping a switch, do you feel like a switch is flipping for him lately?
I think it's just clear that when you approach the game the right way, in the sense of just your effort and focus across the board, that's not just a JP thing, that's everybody, that good things usually happen, on both sides of the ball. So I think we had 19 in the fourth. He competed on the other end and got rewarded for it. And he was just very assertive and decisive the whole frame. So for us to have the versatility to, call his number for a majority of the fourth, understanding how they were guarding us and him taking up space and creating driving lanes and, knocking down big shots, it was a fun way to play, and to see him go off. And then they made a couple adjustments. I got loose for a couple shots, so Clay got open. Everybody was a threat, and JP started the whole thing for us. So it's just a matter of him being ready for whatever he's asked to do and whatever the game requires. Might not always be crazy scoring, but it's just being aggressive and being ready. And he was definitely that tonight.
All right, great to hear from Steph Curry. We're going to hear from Moses Moody. Thank you for joining us up here in the cantina. Hey, you had a chance to study the box score. What stands out to you about the factors that helped you guys win tonight?
Just seeing a lot of pluses, a lot of people in the positive column. Points spread out across the books, and then rebounding.
Well, Moses, actually, this whole month, your plus minus has been either at that 0 or in the positive. A lot of positives for you. As you kind of been rounding into form with your role on the bench lately, can you feel it impact, and how comfortable do you feel right now with more and more opportunities?
Yeah, I feel comfortable. I'm excited to, anything I can get, just going out there and affecting the game however I can.
Yeah, I think the way that the coaches are playing you, maybe 8 minutes a game, 10 minutes a game, sometimes more than that, you have to show a lot of maturity. You have to be ready for your moment when you step in. How do you keep your head and show up for your team when your number's called?
Yeah, it's the NBA. It's a grown man's game, so you got to mature fast and be prepared to see a situation for what it is, and be ready to step into that with the right attitude. Because if you don't got that, then you're not going to be ready when your number's called.
And tonight, obviously, it was Jordan Poole in that fourth quarter, 19 points. But to have Jordan, to have Steph, to have Clay, three guys that can have those kind of fourth quarter flurries, what's that like to see them get red hot like that and know at any moment they can catch fire?
Yeah, it's cool, especially confidence-wise, just knowing at any point we can get a quick little 20 points out of somebody in a quarter, like you just said. You can always trust in that. We have so many guys that can do it, so it's just comforting.
Have you seen any growth in Jordan Poole? He's in year 4 right now. He has been through so much already in his career. How do you see Jordan Poole and his development this season?
Yeah, the biggest development for JP, I'd probably say just being able to see how he overcomes adversity, dealing with different situations, maybe playing time, maybe shots falling, whatever. He's been better when it comes to dealing with anything, and that's something that I've seen from him and I'm impressed with.
Yeah, you can see, how much he cares, how much he might be his own biggest critic. So how do you know that Jordan is rolling right now? How do you know that he's playing well?
When JP playing well, he'll tell you about it. he got that character that light up a room when he walk in. So just feeling that energy on the floor in the locker room, it's good.
And tonight on the bench, we saw Gary Payton II with a sweater that said "free." It might have just been, a fashion statement. But to know the fact that he is on his way back eventually, what is that kind of confidence boost to know that you're going to get somebody like GP2 back for the stretch run?
Yeah. I was here last year, so I seen it firsthand on what he can do, how he can affect the game. So that's real good to know he's coming soon.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that even how young you are, you were a vital part of those playoffs last year. Did tonight kind of feel like that playoff atmosphere coming home from 2 huge road wins also?
Yeah, it did. It was similar. It's just feeling that energy from the crowd that we had, roaring like the playoffs, and just going out there trying to get a must-get win like every game is right now.
Dalton and I are on the same wavelength because I was going to ask about the postseason too. We're hearing a couple comments from different players post-game about getting into playoff form. There's a change in these kind of games and the way you guys are attacking them. You know what the playoffs are like. You know what it's like to win a championship. What is playoff form? What is that extra gear you guys find?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to hear you asking me this question because I remember last year at this time I was hearing other people talk about the playoffs and not knowing what to expect. But it's just high-intensity basketball. Mistakes are magnified more, the positives are magnified more, so it's just basketball at the biggest stage, and everybody's on the edge, everybody's ready to perform, so it's just a good time, best time of year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the insight. Always great to see and hear from Moses Moody. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Moses.
All right, guys, more Dubs Talk Live coming up after the break. We need to talk about the playoffs a little bit more. Yeah, what does this playoff form look like, and how can the bench contribute? We'll be right back.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by FitAid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. FitAid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Hi there. I have not pulled up the YouTube link. I'll be right with you. Let me find it. What do you think?
I'm following your lead.
Was there stuff that Steph said that was like really that will be in the stories tomorrow? I'm trying to review right now. I don't see the YouTube. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm always open to hearing from more stuff. But I'll leave that up to you. All right, so many ads right now, so many ads. Ah! Okay. Okay. All right. Hey everybody, hi. I'm a little late to getting to the YouTube, but I see the usual names. We really appreciate you joining us. Asher is saying, we are the champions. We are the champions. They are the defending champs. They have won 3 straight, and it's got to be encouraging that they're starting to look like the Warriors who know how to come together as a team and win.
That's right.
That's right.
Sometimes my analysis can just be
That's
2
okay.
words.
Listen, sometimes it's like,
yes.
just
right, yeah, hold finger guns, we're good.
yeah. Ideal Pirate Brad says, hello, Dalton and Kerith, cheering from Toronto, Canada.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. I heard you guys have a team up there.
Yeah.
We got a Vancouver, Canada as well.
So the chills on TV.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by FitAid. Let's continue this conversation about what playoff form looks like for the Warriors. It was really nice to hear Moses Moody talk about that because it was his rookie season. He had heard about what it takes, the old flip a switch, that kind of thing. But for him to see it in person, you can tell the difference. And actually, I'm going to give Dalton some credit here because you joined us last season right before the playoffs. You were dropped into a very intense time. What do you remember about what playoff basketball looks like?
Well, I mean, it is an atmosphere that you can feel, right? And I do feel like that was what Chase Center was tonight. You can see that fourth quarter. And the fact that you can go from the Warriors being outscored by, I believe it was 11 points in that third quarter tonight, and then to flip that switch in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
The fact that they do have multiple players, whether it's Steph, a JP, a Clay, who can ignite that offense like that. But really it comes down to defense. You know, to hold the Sixers to, 24 points in the fourth quarter.
You got it.
And really that magic number is 115 points for the Warriors. When they hold opponents under 115, they're nearly unbeatable. I believe that they've lost one game in that scenario the whole season, right? So it's going to come down to defense for them. The fact that they have Joel Embiid, who is this, dominant force down low, but the Warriors still out-rebounding the Sixers. That says a lot to me, right? So they had their backs against the wall against a contending team.
Oh, yeah.
The Sixers are a very good team. Yes, they were down James Harden, and yes, the Warriors were down Andrew Wiggins and Gary Payton II.
Yeah.
So both teams weren't at full strength, but both teams have championship aspirations. And that's where it was, okay, if they can have a third quarter like they had, and then a fourth quarter like they had, that's given, I think, everyone even more optimism going forward.
I think you keyed in on the main word, defense, for playoffs, because this season, regular season, we're seeing point totals of 130, 140, maybe even a little bit higher. There's a distinct difference once you get to the postseason. There is a lockdown. There's actually, I would say the referees let you play a little bit more too.
Oh, it's more physical. It is,
extremely
for
physical.
sure.
But defense has been a place, especially on the road, where the Warriors have struggled this season. We've been talking about that all year. But they do seem to find something. Sometimes it's hard to even explain how or why, but there is a cohesiveness that comes together, a seriousness that happens, everybody understanding their role and playing their role, with defense being key in the postseason.
It's almost like in that fourth quarter you could sense a different kind of communication, or almost like not even out loud, but a sense of it that they all had, where they were going to the right spots, even if they felt like they were going to be late on a rotation. You saw an extra gear, things like that, right? And that's what we're talking about as far as playoff basketball goes.
Yeah.
Because anything, any second, any late rotation, anything like that can be the difference in the game, right? I mean, we just had Moses Moody on here tonight. He had a big three-pointer. Those little sequences in the game make the difference down the line. And I think that's where the Warriors can kind of feel like, okay, we have reinforcements coming. We're locking down when we need to. We have this Jordan Poole over this kind of three-game stretch. We have to feel good about ourselves right now.
Yeah, it's an attitude shift. We are not going to lose this game. And then, of course, playing defense like that requires a lot of trust. It's also the time of year when the playoffs roll around where you really have to rely on every single guy in your lineup. I'm especially looking at the bench as well. You want to spotlight a few people? J. Green?
Oh,
what do you think?
He's been consistent with this now, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like whenever we've talked about JaMychal Green, it has been a surprise almost, where it's not so much a surprise that he can't do it, but it's, okay, this is a different JaMychal lately. But now, recently, this is the JaMychal Green that the Warriors are getting. 12 points, 6 rebounds. He's able to stretch the floor, but also still be that tough guy down low that we expected. The confidence is there. And he said it. He said it recently, that he is playing with more freedom. You can see him playing freer, but he still has that attitude. Look at that. And I mean, that's what JaMychal Green was here for, is to be that dog. But again, the dog is the buzzword when it comes to him. I can't help it. Hey, he used it when he first got here, and it's going to stick with me ever since.
Yeah.
But I love that he still has that with him, but also he can be that modern day big to stretch the floor and open the lanes up for the Warriors as well.
Yeah.
As a 6'8" center, kind of, smaller center for the Warriors.
I've looked inside his lungs. It's just pit bulls.
One, two. It's like LeBron. Not one, not two, not three, not four. That's the dogs within JaMychal Green.
And they're very Southern dogs. So
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I completely just lost it there. But as you were speaking, I was like, this is one of my favorite cliches. He's got that dog in him, but he plays like that. And I think about some of the stuff that he's been through this season, where he had the leg infection.
Oh, yeah.
Did he have COVID or was it non-COVID? He dealt with the sickness. He just missed a big chunk of time.
He's out for about a month.
Yes, and when that happens, it's like, oh man, how do you get your footing? How do you get your rhythm back? And it took him a little while. But give people their patience. Give guys their grace after they go through a time where they miss a period of action, because it does take a moment. But with that patience, this is what can materialize. The Warriors really need this right now. They need a really strong backup center, and it's JaMychal.
Oh, it's paid off big time, because again, we know how thin they are size-wise. We know how thin they are roster-wise. And to have someone like him who does bring the size step up to the plate, it's huge for the Warriors. And they know it. He's a quiet guy, but he exudes like this loud confidence at the same time.
Yeah, it does.
That I think that the Warriors can feed off of, as a whole, whether it's off the bench or whether it's on the court. So they ride with JaMychal Green, and they knew that, hey, this is a veteran who's been here, done that, give it time, and it's paying off right when you need it to.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jonathan Kuminga has had a string of excellent games lately. This was a tough night for him shooting-wise. Did come through with the three. Now, he spent his time guarding Joel Embiid, which has to be one of the toughest assignments in the league.
Oh, it's incredibly taxing. I mean, it was a tough night for Jonathan Kuminga, but that's going to happen. He just came off of what Steve Kerr called the best 5-game stretch of his career.
Yes.
On that road trip, we forget how young he is at times. It was a tough game, and I think that you could see a little bit of him being a little more unsure of himself, him being a little more uncomfortable at times, a little more out of place than he's been recently. But again, I think that this isn't something to hang your hat on when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga. No. Something to go, hey, this is a really good team with maybe the MVP on it, and you were having to go against him. It happens.
Yeah, this is a tough assignment for JK, or whether it's Looney, or whether it's Draymond, or a team effort on Joel Embiid. He arrived at, where was it tonight? 46 points. That's Joel Embiid. That's an MVP candidate right there. There is something that I'm going to tuck away in the back of my mind. What happens if the Warriors run into a center like Embiid in the postseason? That feels like a different animal. It's going to be tough because the Warriors are undersized against, say, a 7-footer like Embiid, say a 7-footer against Jokic. But if the Warriors rely on small ball, and it's been a really promising thing in the postseason, how would you feel about a matchup like that?
Well, you kind of just alluded to it right there as far as that small ball in the playoffs. And I think that the playoffs are a different game. We talked about the physicality earlier, but also the whistles. I don't think that some of these big guys are going to get the same exact whistle. The fact that Joel Embiid had 22 free throw attempts tonight, the Warriors as a team had 24. And we know that that's kind of the theme of the season with the Warriors, with that free throw discrepancy. But, when you talk about running into a center like Joel Embiid, luckily for the Warriors, there's only one Joel Embiid. And there's a reason that
and he's in the East,
no, he's in the Eastern Conference. And there's a reason why he very well might be taking that MVP from Jokic. The Warriors have experience going against Jokic in the playoffs. Yeah. They've beat him there, obviously. This is a more healthy and a deeper Nuggets team than the past. But again, you have to be able to kind of hang your hat on that experience as far as the Warriors can, and know that the playoffs are a different animal. I know that they're thin. I know that they're smaller than other teams, but it's just such a different game that you have to be able to kind of go, okay, there's a Joel Embiid, there's a Nikola Jokic, there are more and more really good big men, I think, in the NBA, in the evolution of what the big man is now than we've seen in a long, long time. But the Warriors they've been there. And I think that if this core, especially with Draymond Green running the defense, he's going to invite that challenge more than anybody else.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was also thinking of Jaren Jackson Jr. with Memphis, a 7-footer. Yeah, lots of guys who could give the Warriors trouble, but so far so good.
Exactly.
There you go. All right, when we come back on Dubstock Live, brought to you by Fit Aid, let's look at the schedule ahead. Let's look at the standings right here, and we'll wrap up our playoff conversation when we come back.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Fit Aid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. Fit Aid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Hey everybody, we are back on YouTube. Okay, we have some spitballing here. Somebody says, should the Warriors go for the 4th spot or hold at 6th? They said, I'm okay with 6th seed as of right now. Maybe you're looking at what the maybe you're looking at what the matchups would be. The Warriors want to go as high as possible.
I'll say that 4 is better than 6.
4 is better than 6. 4 also gives you home court advantage.
Home court advantage, yes.
That's what you want for a team.
Yes.
I understand where you're coming from. They definitely want to be at 6 or above because that's the clearance sign for the play-in. But 4 is better than 6.
Yes, 4 is better than 6. Home court is better than winning 8 or 9 games on the road so far.
Yes.
That's just kind of the simple facts for the Warriors right now, right? I understand looking at matchups. but they for sure want to be top 6. To get to 4,
That's a big
that
deal.
would be huge. Absolutely huge.
That could change the complexion of the postseason for the Warriors.
1,000%, yes.
All right, I'm looking at some of the scores tonight. Boston won, Washington won. It was the Memphis game that was not Memphis, the Mavericks game.
That was the huge one.
was bad.
And then the Kings coming back and beating the Suns was
Yeah.
huge too.
Yeah. What did you happen to see the deficit that the Kings had? Here, let me see games. Sorry, I don't mean to
mean,
quiz
tonight's
you.
score?
Yeah, I don't mean to quiz you.
That's my thought. I saw it was 10 or 11.
Oh, I just like all these
8.
pop-ups. 8? Nice.
135 to 127.
Those comebacks are going to take them far. I'm really proud of the Kings and Mike Brown this season. They're gonna be tough. Mike should be coach of the year.
Oh, my.
Oh yeah,
has
for
to
sure.
be.
Yeah, for sure.
Fox left the game early though in the third quarter.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they still won.
They did.
Yeah. 14 was the biggest lead for the Suns. Okay.
Suns,
Okay. What are we? Okay. All right, guys, we're back on Dubs Talk Live. The Warriors now 39-36. So there they are at that 6th spot, avoiding the play-in at the moment because Draymond Green said no one wants to play in. It is dangerous. Do you feel like the Warriors can move up? There's 3 games left on this homestand. They've done pretty well at home. What are you feeling?
They certainly can. I mean, look at these standings right here. We've obviously talked about how congested they are all season. But now, they have more wins than the Phoenix Suns. They are tied with the Clippers in the win column. I mean, thanks to getting some help tonight, a huge win by the Kings beating the Suns.
Yeah.
A huge win by the Hornets
Over
upsetting
Dallas.
the Mavs
Yes.
in Dallas. So a wild win there where the Dallas Mavs are now out of the play-in. I mean,
The Warriors were out of time chasing the Mavericks.
Exactly.
They got leapfrogged by the Mavericks, and then now the Mavericks have tumbled.
before the Warriors beat the Mavs, the Warriors were 5, the Mavs were 6. Just like that, the Mavs are now 11.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it is. That's
Yeah.
why every possession matters, every game matters, every win matters. Why tonight, starting off this homestand, was so big for the Warriors.
Yeah. All right. So 3 games left on the homestand. The Warriors again 3 games over 500. As I look at some of these scores tonight, you can see the Grizzlies beat the Rockets. Grizzlies hung 151 on the Rockets. Okay, they pummeled this poor team. But that's what I was talking about. You don't have score totals of 151 in the postseason.
No,
Everything kind of changes there. Can we take a look at the schedule really quickly? I think we're mentioning that the homestand continues. We don't have that. That's okay. No problem. 3 games left. The Warriors 29-7 at home, and again they fit the pattern of overcoming a double-digit deficit. They did good.
They did. No, again,
But,
that fourth quarter, that's where you
careful.
want to be able to hang your hat on. They got a big game coming with,
Yeah.
obviously, with the T-Wolves,
Yeah.
who now have Karl Anthony Towns back.
Yep.
And we don't know yet, but GP2 can be back for that game. It could be. I don't want to say can, but could be.
Sure.
Practice tomorrow, could be back Sunday. Reinforcements are on the way.
Thank you for the update there. Appreciate you, Dalton. Appreciate you for watching. This has been Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit 8. I'm really glad that you mentioned GP2 because we did hear from Steve Kerr who said, yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. He's going to practice Saturday, but we really hope we can have him for the homestand.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's good.
No, he will
Yeah.
practice fully with the team tomorrow. And again, they've said that his status as far as Sunday goes will be determined after that practice. So there's no guarantees,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yep.
But the fact that he's going to be able to have what it seems like a stretch of games before the playoffs, that's what the Warriors really wanted. Even if it was like 3 or 4 games, they just wanted to be able to get that stretch of games under his body to kind of feel that pressure of it, feel it up and down the court before going to the playoffs. Because you don't want to just throw somebody in the playoffs like that, who is a
No.
defensive guy especially,
Yep.
whose conditioning and everything is so important. So for him to get that big practice tomorrow and then a couple games under him, going to be big for the Warriors.
That runway will help put him in a better position, which gets the team in a better position. Folks are telling me that the Warriors have 30 home wins this season. Thank you for that correction. That's what happens when I don't hit refresh before I write down the numbers. So thank you. That is a milestone, 30 wins at home. Also, the Warriors prevented the Sixers from getting their 50th win of the season. So, all right, go Dubs. Let's see if they can continue this on the homestand. 3 straight wins, and to be determined how they finish the rest of the season. Thanks, guys. Good night.